Hi there, it's Mr. Tush over at Global, and we are going to set our blocks for the initial coin flip app. So we have a beautiful viewer here that says flip the coin, and it should flip this coin, but we can't really see what it's going to do. So it's a fairly simple block setup, but what we need to do is we need to have an event handler. So when this button is clicked, it has to do something. And of course, this is called an event handler because the event is the button getting clicked, and this handles it, does something with it. Well, we're changing between heads and tails. So when things change in your app and they're going to vary, you always look to variables. So we're going to set up a variable. We're going to call our variable coin because that's the thing that's going to change. Sometimes the coin will be heads, sometimes the coin will be tails. And in our model, 1 will be heads and 2 will be tails. So I'm going to set up my coin. I'm going to preset it to 1. I'm going to preset it to heads. So I'll put in a 0 and change that to a 1. A 1 is heads. Now, so far, so good. But when this is clicked, we need to be able to set up an event handler. So what's going to happen is when the button is clicked, we are going to set up the global coin variable. So when it's clicked, set this number, and we're going to use something called random integer. Now, if I click this, it will give me a random number between 1 and 100. Well, we already said 1 is heads, 2 is tails. So I actually need a random number between 1 and 2. So there we go. Every time the button's clicked, it will either give me a 1 or a 2. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to tell it, okay, what do I do with the 1 or the 2? Well, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to add an if-then block. So the if-then block is going to go under here. And we're actually going to need an if-then-else statement for this to work. So to do that, I'm going to go to this mutator. Whenever you see this blue gear or purple gear, you're going to add an else like that. Now we have an if-then-else statement. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say if the global coin is 1. So if, and let's go over here, use the math drawer, and we're going to say if our global coin, so if this number is equal to 1, so I'm saying, okay, if it's equal to 1, then what I want it to do is set this image, picture, set this image to, and what I'm going to do to put in that image, I actually have to use this text box, and I have to type in this exactly, heads JPEG. Don't click on it, you have to actually type it, heads.jpg. Be very careful, don't put in any extra spaces. If you do, it won't work. So you type this exactly, heads.jpg, heads.jpg. So I'm telling it that if the image 1 has a picture that says, or if the global coin result is 1, set it to heads. And if not, I'm going to want it to say tails. So I'm going to copy this and duplicate it. And I'm going to change this to read tails, T-A-I-L-S .jpg. Take a minute now, launch your app, and make sure that this works the way you expect it to. Thanks for watching.